This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show. Today on the James Altucher Show.
Ray, when you were obviously rising up in the music industry, you were building your career. Was there ever a point where you felt like, oh my gosh, all these people, not all these people, but there were people that were, I don't want to say passing you by, but they were blowing up and having billions of views on YouTube, and it became a whole new universe. Like, it wasn't record labels and Tower Records anymore. It was streaming services and YouTube and all these things. And you have big followings everywhere. But was there ever a point where you felt like, gosh, I don't have a handle on what's going on in the music industry, and did that frustrate you? Did you ever feel like left behind?
No, I felt like there was something else out there in business that I've always been in love with.
So this might be a crazy idea, and I'm just going to throw stuff at you. But
yeah, let's brainstorm. Let's do it.
Yeah. None of us can get audio working. Anytime I use this, it's always 100% time.
I'm almost there, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear us, Ray?
Can you hear us? Do you have to turn it on?
Might have to charge it.
No.
Hello?
Do you hear us?
Now, perfect. All right, here we go. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
James has a joke though. James, I'm gonna let James tell the joke.
Ray, don't worry, because what I was just saying is we could send a drone 6,000 miles to kill some Iranian general, but not once have I ever gotten audio working when I log on to this damn software.
Oh, man. I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm happy to get it working. Matt's going to kick my butt later.
No, I'm not.
He said he's going to use karate, Canadian karate, which we know is pretty wimpy. He's going to use that. So they don't, Matt, I was trying to tell him, Matt, they don't have karate in Canada. Bruce Lee came to LA, not Canada.
No, Bruce Lee went to San Francisco.
Oh.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Then he switched his mind.
Yeah.
So Ray, how's
man.
it going? How are you doing?
It's going good, man. I'm working. I'm quarantining. I got 2 kids under 2, but it's all good, man. I'm having a good time. I'm happy I got the sound together, man. I was working. I was hustling, trying to make it right. I'm happy to be on.
Believe me, this happens every time. Really, it's no deal. But how's things going? Like, is your, I know you've had a lot of volatility in life recently, and how are you taking care of yourself?
Everything has been good. Business is doing well, unbelievably through this, pandemic that's going on. But as far as Raycon is concerned, with my earbuds and my headphones, things are going real good. Prayers out to everybody that's going through what they're going through in the time that we're having now. And for us, we just been trying to stay positive. Keep a positive energy going, and, just work through whatever problems are in our way,
Yeah, I think it's really important because these pandemics and everybody's thrown off their routine. You know what I mean? And that stresses the mind, it stresses the body, and there's little explosions that happen that you don't realize. And it's important to kind of, everybody puts it in perspective. That
Exactly.
Like, I try to remind myself whenever I'm anxious right now, is that, okay, we're all going through something, and we just have to take a step out of our body for a second just to deal with it.
Yep.
And not get absorbed by it.
Yep. That's right. You just got to stay positive and just stay on the up and up. No matter what, it is what it is. And, as soldiers, as people that don't stop, we just got to keep going and stay positive.
And Ray, you haven't stopped since you were Sinbad's son in 1995 or whenever it was. Like, you've been acting, sing. Of course, you're well known as a brilliant singer, and you've done so many collaborations with other great artists, and you've sold so many albums. You've been an actor, and you've been, in the past several years, you've been an entrepreneur. By the way, that Scoot e-bike is amazing. I've been riding, I'm supposed to be in quarantine right now. I've been riding up all over Manhattan, downtown and uptown in the Scooty bike. Everyone's catching my eye on the street. Like, when we'll get into your career in a second, but just
All right.
what's your relationship with the Scooty bike? And also Matthew Clayton, right, is on the podcast as well. Matthew, welcome. You're the CEO of Loop, which has done a deal with Ray with the Scooty bike and other Ray electronics. So welcome to the podcast, both of you guys, Matt and Ray.
Yes.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
And so Ray, how did you come up with the best bike on the planet?
Well, thank you, man. I've always wanted to be a part of the Green Initiative. About 10 years ago was when I really started to hit the ground running, and I ran up on an e-bike. We put the brand behind it. We put the name behind it. We put our heart and soul behind it. And as you just go back, if you Google Scooty Bike, you'll see how many people have supported the brand, from P. Diddy to Justin Bieber to the NFL to the NBA and so on and so forth. And for me, as I got it to a certain level, I needed that extra push. Now I needed to go all the way to the top, and the only way to do that is to find the right partners, and that's where Loop came in, and they really took it to the next level with the engineering, the telematics, the digital dashboard system that they have now. You know, it is really just taking Scooty Bike somewhere where I didn't even think it was going to go. So I'm happy that, you know, I sold it to Loop. And now we are about to make fireworks in 2020 with so many new ideas that Matt and the team have.
That's great. I mean, again, it's such a smooth ride, and I was very excited. It was easy to put together. It wasn't really anything, and just turned it on and started cruising around outside. So it's exciting. And I want to talk about what your plans are for it. But I just want to get a little bit of background. Obviously, the world knows you as Ray J, the singer. You were born into a family of singers. Your dad was a gospel singer. Your sister Brandy, of course, has sold 40 million copies of her albums.
Shout out to Brandy.
Yeah, shout out to Brandy. And you're all on Moesha, and you've been on a ton of shows. You grew up in a different way than people grow up typically. Like, you didn't grow up in a suburb going to junior high school, getting beat up by the bullies, and then going to high school, and so on. Like, what happened? You guys you were born in Mississippi, you moved to California. What happened?
We started out acting. I started out doing the Sinbad show, like you said. You took it all the way back to 95. And my sister started out on a show called Thea. And then from there, she released her self-titled album, and it sold about 5 million copies. And that's when everything started to change. And we started to move into a different phase in our life, with Brandy just going, to the next level. For me, I've always been independent with all of the music that I've put out, from One Wish, which is now revamped itself now. If you Google Ray J and One Wish, it's one of the top TikTok songs now. And I put that song out 10 years ago. Well, actually 15 years ago. Wow, I'm getting old. But I've always been independent with everything I've done. So I've just taken all of the stuff that I've learned with running, my label and, just my independent music, and I've taken it and I put it into the tech world, and I've created these new marketing strategies and these new templates that I feel are unmatched in my own world, in the strategic marketing play. And, it's been working. God has been good to have us, still here today, surviving, being successful. 20 years, ago is when I started, and I'm still here. So God is good, man, for real.
Yeah, and I really am impressed with the constant streak of independence, whether it's with the music or the collaborations you did, and now this being an electronics entrepreneur and your deal with Loop. Like, your label, Knockout, did you start out with another label, like many artists did, including Snoop Dogg, your cousin, started out from label to label, and so on?
Yeah, well, I started out at Atlantic. I got a deal from Elektra, and then I went to Atlantic. And that's where I learned to just go independent. I had this song called Wait a Minute, featuring Lil' Kim. Pharrell produced the song. And that was right before Pharrell and the Neptunes really kicked it off. But I really believed in him. He believed in me. And we worked well together. And we had this song called Wait a Minute. And it was everything to me. And I told the label, listen, you don't even have to give me a budget. Just give me a van. Let me go out and promote this all over the world, and I'll bring back home a hit. And I did that for them. And that's when I learned that I could do it myself with the right amount of money and a real strong team that believes in me, as long as we go out and build it from the ground up and really work this thing and believe in this thing and have the passion that we know it can work, it can happen. And so that song took off, and it was my first hit record. And then Pharrell and the Neptunes went on to just do amazing things. And from there, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go independent. I'm going to put this same strategy behind everything I do. And as long as we believe and have the right team and have the right strategy, we can win. And that's when it all kicked off for me.
So tell me about that. Tell me about the strategy conceptually. Like, what are the components? Like, then you started your own label. You started Knockout. You started doing all sorts of ventures. Then you started going big into also, spreading your brand through appearances on very successful reality TV shows, which allowed you then to have be a good influencer once you started getting into entrepreneurship. So what was the beginning? Like, what was the core strategy when you started Knockout? Like, what was your philosophy that brought it all together?
Well, for me, it was really working the record in every state, every city, building our relationships with DJs, with program directors, and really showing them how much we cared about the record and how hard we were willing to work for it. And I think you take that same energy and that same belief, and you go state to state, and you really bond with everybody from the fans to the people controlling radio. And, from there, it's all about the fans. If they love the song, they're going to support it. And so for me, I was lucky to have those songs that really connected with people. And from there, they supported it and they called in and they bought it, and it started to be successful in an arena where independent music is hard to do. And so we were able to, crack the code and really continue to build it. And, now we're in tech, and it's having the same effect.
And what do you think the code was that you cracked? Like, I mean, you really stood out against other R&B singers, and then you did a lot of collaborations with rap and so on. Like, what was the code for you?
I think it's just having great product, and then also showing people how hard you're willing to work for the product, and how you believe in and how passionate you are in what you're selling or you're promoting. And if it's honest, and if it's real, and if it's good at the same time, magic can happen. And I think that's what happened. I think that's the code. Great product, belief, hard work, nonstop until it works. That's what I believe in. And so from there, things have started to unfold. And we got a long way to go, but I think we're off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you're always, what's great is you haven't been afraid to pivot at different points. Like, again, going into reality, then going into electronics, and we're going to talk about all of that. Was there ever a point where you were like, oh my gosh, I'm 27 years old and I don't know, it feels over. Like, people are not buying the music as much. The music industry is changing. I don't quite get this streaming thing. The record stores are gone. Radio play is gone. Was there ever a point where you were kind of discouraged? Like, oh, I'm going to have to go on Celebrity Big Brother and live in a house with a bunch of people I don't like?
Right. Right. For me, there's been a lot of times where I felt like it was time to switch up and change the narrative and what we were doing. I've always tried to look into the future, whether it was getting on reality shows before everybody started, to now you see how big the electric bike industry is. And we literally brought that to America 8-9 years ago. And so for people to adapt to what we do and we catch on fast, for me, it's just about seeing what's next and catching on and not being afraid to move into the next phase. And so we've always done that. And God is good, for real.
So what was your first exposure to the Scoot e-bike? How do you call it? Scooty bike?
Scooty bike, yep.
Yeah.
Scooty bike.
SCOOT-E-bike.
Yep.
What was your first exposure to it? Like, what happened?
Well, at first the hoverboards came out, and everybody went crazy for the hoverboards, but the safety behind the hoverboards really, it just wasn't right. Everybody was falling. I don't know if you saw the Mike Tyson video, but it was, once I seen that, I just felt like there was something else out there that could be electric, that was safer, that people really could ride on a day-to-day. And we came up on the Scooty bike, and there were so many different, styles of the bike, but the one that we really, really just connected with was the K1. And from there, we just started to upgrade it and make it our own, and put our extra, our extra coolness into the bike. And that was just me by myself. That's before I got with Loop. But now that Loop has taken over, I mean, the bike is even now it's on a whole nother level, and we have bigger bikes, and we have a new engineering system, and we have new telematics. And so from what I've started with the bike and now to where it is, oh man, it's next wave. And I thank Matt and everybody for doing that, because you guys have really just taken this thing to the next level, man. Thank you.
You're like, Matt, when you first encountered Ray and this bike, what were your thoughts? What were you thinking?
Well, first of all, I think he's too kind, because he was and is the brains behind this unit and this product. When I first saw it, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but when I see something and I dig it that much, I know there's a pretty good chance my friends are going to dig it. And when I saw that unit, I just went, come on, like this is something that everyone can really enjoy. Now there is many things to think about with a product like Scooty Bike, because of the different rules and regulations around e-bikes, and how we look at e-bikes and bike lanes and on the road and helmet, no helmet. So we kind of really looked at it, and I was just really excited because, if we look at where we're going in the bike industry, they are now up to 60 to 70% of every bicycle sale in the United States is an e-bike now. And it is here to stay. I mean, this is getting seniors out. This is getting people who wouldn't go on a bike out because of the assist, and they can still get some cardio in and some workout in, but the assist on the bicycles is changing the game for everyone. And I think it's fantastic. A Scooty Bike, when I saw it fold up and I realized that we had this 45-pound unit that you could hold and fold up and hang onto a boat or hang in your garage or hang in your condominium, and that it had that kind of versatility. And then for me, it was the music, because when I put the Bluetooth on and I had the speaker going, and I'll never forget riding down this beachway on the coast of Canada here, flip-flops. I did have a helmet on and shorts on, and I had Post Malone on, and I was on this thing.
Is that sacrilegious, Ray? Is he on the other side?
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Right. Ride out.
All right.
I tell you, but where I'm going with this is, there was a very large gathering of people that were all intense, and they were playing games and doing different stuff, barbecuing. And I looked over, and every single person was staring at me. And because they didn't really know what it was, because they didn't see me pedaling on the pedals. They just saw the throttle and saw me moving at a good pace. And it wasn't me standing up on a scooter. So they couldn't really process what was that. But it really is a knee-assisted cycle that we have the pedals on, and that we built it this way. So really what you have is a sit-down scooter that is much safer to ride than being on a stand-up scooter, which are not that easy to ride and also limits people. So I guess the answer for me is I just looked at it when this is something that consumers are going to have fun on, and we need to get it to people. Ray had seeded the market so well with celebrities and athletes and influencers, and their excitement is there, and they see things every day. So I knew that once we could bring this, make a few modifications to it, we really had something, James.
But okay, so let's talk about that. So Ray, you got a lot of people you knew to ride to have the bike, to ride it. Snoop Dogg, Diddy, like you mentioned, these football teams and so on. What sort of effect did you see from that? Do influencers, in fact, have an effect on product sales?
They do. And this was years ago. I think now they've created a new business around it, a new business model for influencers. When I started out with the Scooty Bike, it was still kind of like the Wild Wild West. So all of the celebrities really just wanted a bike. So what I did was I just customized 300-400 bikes for every celebrity that I thought would like it, and I just had my team drop it off to everybody, and they They let them in their houses. I pulled up to certain sets. I pulled up to concerts. I really just kind of worked this thing from the ground up. But when they saw the bike, they connected with it. And I never asked them to post anything. They just did it on their own in their day-to-day life. And that's what made it cool, because just watching them on a product that we put together was more fulfilling than anything. And I kind of got a rush, and I didn't want to stop. And so you see Steph Curry, Justin Bieber, Post Malone. I mean, the list goes on and on. When I caught that wave, I wanted to surf the wave until I couldn't surf it anymore. And I think that's just the love of the bike. It's a really good bike. It's a really, really, really good product. And it's something that I think people can use, especially now in their day-to-day life, once everything gets back up and running for real.
Yeah, because you look at, for instance, I'm in New York City. I don't ride a car, and people are going to be a little bit more reluctant, I think, to ride a cab, even because there's all these fears now of there's going to be a lot more social isolation.
Absolutely.
And so if you're not in a cab, and very few people in New York City drive cars, this is actually a great alternative. You could, and by the way, there's anti-stealing features in it. It's hard to
Got its own
steal.
alarm. Yep.
Yeah, the alarms. Yeah, we triggered the alarm. The entire building thought we were having a coronavirus attack, and it's great. I could see in urban areas. I could see delivery, although it's a high-end price point for delivery people. But where do you see kind of next moves in market for this, as you're thinking about it?
Yeah, Matt, you want to take that?
Yeah, for sure. So we are going to deploy a direct-to-consumer model. We think it's the best model for us right now online, and we'll be working next month with Amazon to go direct out to market to get the product in front of the most eyeballs and get direct-to-consumer. James,
Matt, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry if I interrupt, but you say you're going to work with Amazon. Does that mean you're just going to list it on Amazon, or are you calling Amazon on the phone and saying, hey, what can we do to make this stand out? Or what does it mean working with Amazon?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we have been admitted into the Launchpad program. And that is because of Ray's success with Raytronics and Raycon and everything he's done as a premium brand and a premium seller. So they were very interested in working with us on Scooty Bike because of Ray's success. So what that means, James, is just look at it like a toolbox. I like analogies. So, if James comes to Amazon and said, I want to sell teacups, I got great teacups. Well, that's great. And they may list you, and you may be listed on Amazon, and you may work with them, and you may have a storefront, but there could be 1,000 other vendors as well. And it's very challenging.
Right.
With Launchpad, because it's a celebrity-backed driven product, we get a team that's dedicated to us. We get many tools in the toolbox as far as video features, specials that we can run. So it really gets the product out in front of people who are visiting Amazon day to day. So we start with them actually in June, right to their fulfillment centers. And also what we will do is we'll run our own websites that we're currently running, and we can do direct to consumer sales via online as well. And when retail makes sense, we can potentially look at it. But I think right now this will be the best business model for us, James.
What about also partnering with ride sharing, or in New York City we have these city bikes, or in some cities there's Lime, some cities there's Bird. What about partnering with them, or you could even white label and say, hey, if anybody wants to start a ride sharing company, they can use our bikes, and we'll cater and design for that ride sharing. Almost like you can say, we're going to make a company in a box. If you want to start a ride sharing company, we've got the whole setup and logistics and everything for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So James, we have two products. Obviously, we're talking about the Scooty Bike product right now, but our full loop size product is a fully licensed scooter that in the state of New York, you would be wearing a helmet, you would have a driver's license. It has a longer range, faster speeds. It is a full motor vehicle in the road under the rules and laws of the streets. And it is designed with our app that Ray has helped us put together for Loop to be a true ride sharing app. So simply put, you can locate a scooter from your phone. You can open the scooter from your phone. You can book the scooter from your phone with the pin pad. You can take it from point A to point B, and then you can finish your trip, and then you can zero out and the payments happened. by the kilometer or by the mile or by the minute. We can choose how we're actually using the charging and the metrics for charging the consumer. So we have that available now. And with the Scooty bike, we could pivot into that as well. It could be a unit that could be used for rideshare, but we do think that there'll be more of a consumer demand for it as a daily use and something that you own as something that you would just use on a day-to-day basis, say per hour, James.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think like what other features are you thinking of adding to the bike? Like clearly it's so thought out. It's just I can't stop repeating it enough. It's just a beautiful design and other features like the speaker system and the cruise control and the anti-stealing. It's almost hard to think what else you can add to it, but I'm sure there's ideas you have.
Yeah, Ray, you want to take that? I mean, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Ray.
What makes the new Scooty bike really cool? When I started, we didn't have the pedals on it, right? And Matt stressed that the pedals would make it universal. And now that we have the pedals on the Scooty bike, I mean, it is the icing on the cake. I mean, now you can ride it anywhere. It is legal everywhere now because the pedals make it a bike and
Right.
an e-bike. And before it was just an electric bike. So there were different rules and different regulations in different places. But now that we put the icing on the cake with the pedals, I think now it's just upgrading every year, every 6 months. We just make the bike
Yeah.
better. It's like buying a 1995 Mercedes Benz or buying a 2020. The upgrade has to happen. So every day we're trying to find new ways to upgrade it. But with the pedals on it, the icing is on the cake now. It's just getting better and better and just upgrading the bike. But I think we
So
got it.
so Ray, let me ask you, like, what if we take the bike and what's the top speed of the bike?
Well, now with the pedals, see, without the pedals, you only can get up to 19 before it becomes a moped. But now with the pedals, the speed of it's unlimited depending on how fast you pedal, and the assist gives you, more push. So if you can go as fast as you want, as fast as you can pedal, and that's what makes this different from the original Scooty bike without the pedals, because then you only could reach 19 miles per hour before you would have to now make it a moped. So it's unlimited.
So this might be a crazy idea, and I'm just gonna throw stuff at you.
Yeah, let's
But
brainstorm. Let's do it.
yeah, what if we put a cover on the whole bike, and now it's like this mini one-person electric car, and boom, you just beat out Tesla for 1/1000th the price.
That's
James, we just need your support. So let's move on it.
crazy. Let's do it.
James,
I would ride that. I would ride that car.
Okay,
I'm not even legally allowed to drive, and I would drive that car.
Nice.
James, if
But
we
then
have your
it's good for,
support,
like-
we're there.
So, and then here's another thing. I'm gonna spend some time in Key Biscayne off of Miami, and Key Biscayne, everybody drives around in these golf carts, and also there's the water all around. This is gonna sound crazy, but I've seen golf carts that do this. What if, and this is even better for the Scooty bike, you could have the wheels turn into, when it senses water, turn into jet skis, so you can go in the water.
Whoa.
So you can drive from the road into the water.
See, now, James, the only problem now is we've got to ask Elon to come on because we just might need some help with the technology. But
He's a punk. I can do it.
okay,
You can do it.
we're all
You
in.
can do it.
Ray and I
We're
are
all
all in. Well,
That's fly.
James, I was going to say just on the Scooty bike, a couple things that Ray and I have been talking about. So in the United States and in Canada, you are governed by how fast they can go and the speed of the motor to stay in regulations. So that's about 19 to 20 miles an hour in the US and about 30 kilometers an hour in Canada. The pedals, the reason that we feel these pedals help, it's more psychological that if you're going, say, very slow or you're just kind of coasting along, you're in control. Everyone understands bike pedaling from, young adults to forward. So you can balance, you can pedal, you can go slow, you can control it. That was the first thing. The second thing is we went to a more powerful motor to make sure that heavier people, I'm a couple 100 pounds, 6'3", and I want to be able to go on it and go up a hill, and it can hold me, it can take me anywhere I need to go. The one area that Ray and I have talked about is, should we go to a larger size? So should we look at doing a bigger frame with a little bit of a bigger unit? It could be 6 inches longer, 6 inches taller for taller people. and have two models from a frame size. That might be one thing that we take a look at. But what we've done is we've created something that's powerful enough, plugs in and has great range, foldability so it can be stored away, and it's smooth and fun, and you've got the entertainment aspect to it. And I just think that we've got something that people will just enjoy, and as long as the product holds up and meets their demands, I think we're in a good place, and we'll innovate for sure.
The reason I'm thinking these things is one way to maybe find a new audience, because since you're doing direct to consumer and you're not doing kind of these large scale distribution deals with anybody, it might be interesting to think of some new component, maybe even a social media component, so that while you're riding around, you see something that's nice, you click a button and boom, it goes on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want, and whatever. And then put this idea on Kickstarter along with the bike. And so now Kickstarter is this interesting way to allow the crowd to feel like they're part of the development of something. Now they don't get any equity or anything, but you set awards like, okay, we're going to get some albums from Ray J signed. That's the first award. And then, the second award is, whatever, your name is goes on your bike, and on and on and on. But that's a kind of a good way to kind of seed an initial audience of passionate consumers that love the next generation of this. And it just might be a food for thought, putting on Kickstarter like that. That's how a lot of, games like, like the Oculus Rift, which is a VR helmet and it's sold to Facebook for $2 billion. That started off as a Kickstarter project.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's an interesting thing if you're thinking of as you begin to think of the next model and what features, and the fact that Ray, you're so big on social media and your songs are big on TikTok. Maybe there's some way that you really get that audience, and there's tens of millions of people in that universe.
No, that's right. That's right, man. We need you in the room every week with us, man. Come on.
Yeah, I'll do it. I love the bike.
Can we do this every Tuesday? This would be fantastic.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
For real.
That we no problem. Jay, note it down. Jay, the engineer.
Yo, it looks like you're in outer space right now.
Yeah, no, I was doing another video earlier, so I had to throw up this space thing.
Wow. It looks like you're in the out of the galaxy, like in a whole nother planet.
And I got my 1980s arcade game over there in the corner.
Nice.
So Defender and Joust, so popular arcade games. But so Ray, you were kind of doing lots of different things. Like, you were coordinating your songs, you were doing the reality shows, you started to be an entrepreneur. What made you kind of say, hey, you know what, I need to be a little bit more entrepreneurial? Like, were you influenced by people around you, or what were you thinking?
I was riding on a tour bus, promoting a song, and I was just spending a lot of time doing a lot of stuff, and I just came to a point where I said, some of this money that I'm making, just getting paid for my time and my skill, has to amount to something. I need to start investing into something that would be profitable for generations to come. And that's when I just started to think about what could I invest in. And again, I believe that if you go the way the wind blows and you don't fight against the wind, magical things happen. And that's when the Scooty bike came about. And listen, I put all of my money behind the Scooty bike. Before I sold it to Loop, I was almost down to my last. And I felt like something was gonna change. It's not cheap having an electric bike company and putting all of your own money into it. And I felt like if I just had the right team, if I had the right engineers, if we had the right CEO to really just take this thing where it needs to go, blessings would happen. And then all of a sudden, Loop came, and I didn't hesitate. The deal was great, and it was something that I felt, God was talking to me about it, and he said, do it. And I did it. And we're here now, and we're here for the long term, for the long haul. We want to pump this thing year after year until we get it to where we need it to go. So and I'm just happy to have a good team.
Were you scared at that point when you were when you felt like you were down to your last dollar
Yeah.
and you didn't know what was going on? Like what how do you deal with that fear? Like a lot of entrepreneurs go through this where you're never really sure something's going to work out and you don't know like what's going to happen if you are down to that last dollar. Like I don't know for you if you could just say, "Hey, I'm just going to go on tour and I'll make it all back," or like what was going through your head?
Yeah, that came to mind, and I felt like I would have to just go back to my day-to-day routine and make it back. But I mean, I was $2 million in, and I was a little nervous, but I felt like if I just kept pushing, something would happen. I mean, I'm almost down to my last, and then all of a sudden I had a meeting with a beer at the Soho House, and he felt like I would be a great addition to this new ride sharing deal he was putting together. And right then I said, whoa, this might be it. I mean, to try to compete with Lyft and Uber when they came out with all of the bikes. I mean, I had three rental companies on Venice Beach, and we were getting killed every day with the new bike sharing way it was happening. So I needed to be in that space. It wasn't easy to find, engineers and a team like Loop, but I just fought through, and now we're strong. We're real strong, and with all of the abilities I can do in marketing, and with what they bring to the table, from the engineering to the new telematics to just their whole new strategy on how to promote and market this thing, we can win. We can, and we will.
What do you guys mean by telematics?
Oh, the new Loop dashboard is something that's out of this world. Matt, you could break it down for him on that.
Yeah, so James, when Ray's talking about our telematics, he's now speaking to the full-size loop scooters and the system that we have built into the electric scooter that works with the app that we've also designed in Android and iOS so that you can locate scooters, book scooters, use them in and out of your businesses for clients, for customers, and that are working with a fleet management system. So you have control of where your fleet is, where it's going, how it's being used, and you can run diagnostics on it as well. So we really have two sides to our business. One is the full size loop scooter. The other is the direct to consumer scooty bike. And then we will eventually start to move into electric vehicles as well, as that's where the company is going instead of transportation of goods and services. So we fully expect to be into vehicles in 2021. And we'll also be looking at other e-bike type assets that could fit well into our portfolio.
Yeah, because again, it does seem like if you take the technology you've developed for the electric side of this, it's such a smooth ride, and you have this vehicle that's faster, that's car-like speeds or motorcycle-like speeds. What is the difference between that and a high-end Tesla where it's basically just an electric motor with the hood on it? Like you put two of these scooters together, put the hood over, you have another seat. Is there a lot of engineering involved? I mean, I'm describing something that's engineering intensive, but I sort of feel like with a hammer and some nails, you could do it.
Mhm. There's a couple of really interesting options. So when you look at scooters, when you look at the environment of using scooters, mean we're outside in the elements. So we look at cities that have snowfall, rainfall. We look at places like Hawaii where you've got 365 days a year of riding and different areas. So for us, it's a matter of can we build out solutions for people in parts of the country where the weather isn't great all year round? Could they still use a scooter? In Europe, we don't see that hesitation. Rain, cold, they're using scooters year round, where North Americans are a little bit more reserved in that area about when they'll use them in what areas. But we've been looking at some different covers to the scooters that can keep the driver out of the rain. They do use them over in Europe and they do use them in Asia. So rain, I'll be looking at that as well.
How many scooters are out there right now?
So we have 110 operating right now in Beirut. Lebanon was the very first city that Loop launched into, and they've been used there for over 2 years now in a ride-sharing application. And we have 300 scooters here in North America. 110 of those are going down to California, and the other ones will be kept here up here in Canada.
And how many scooty bikes sold?
Scooty bikes. So we just went through. Ray had already seeded the industry with about 400 to 500. We did an initial run of 150 with the pedals to test out the market, get them into consumers' hands, and get some feedback. That's gone extremely well. And we order these in sets of 252 to 500 at a time. And that fits a full 40 cube container. So the next shipment comes actually next week. That'll go directly out into the market into our partners with Amazon once we're ready to launch.
That's great. And so Ray, when you were obviously rising up in the music industry, you were building your career. Was there ever a point where you felt like, oh my gosh, all these people, not all these people, but there were people that were, I don't want to say passing you by, but they were blowing up and having billions of views on YouTube, and they were a little like Justin Bieber's age or younger, and it became a whole new universe. Like, it wasn't record labels and Tower Records anymore. It was streaming services and YouTube and all these things. And you have big followings everywhere. But was there ever a point where you felt like, gosh, I don't have a handle on what's going on in the music industry, and did that frustrate you?
Yeah, not really. I've always been able to adapt. And me being independent, I've always been able to sell records and then, see money coming back on my own system, right? Sometimes when you're signed to these majors, you don't really know how much money is being made, or how much money is being passed through the whole system. With me, I've always been in control. So I've just been able to always create a plan and try to convert what I invest. That's the most important to me, is put up money and try to convert it into something that can make me money back, and be profitable for whoever invested with me. That's the most important. And so I've been able to move and shift and shake. I'm like Muhammad Ali in the game. If it's not popping here, let me shake on to reality. Let me go from reality to tech. Let me go from tech to bike sharing, from bike sharing to earbuds and headphones. But I've always known to always have a strong team that are great at everything business has to offer. So I can't do everything. And that's why we have a great CEO like Matt, running Loop, because, he has the plan. I'm ready to attack from the marketing side, and all the rest of the guys are doing what they do. And if everybody's doing their job, success can happen, and it will happen.
I mean, did you ever feel in the past, like, from your success and your, generosity with the artists you worked with, some of them went on to become very big. Did you ever feel, and you're a huge artist as well, but did you ever feel like left behind?
No, I just felt like there was something else out there in business that I've always been in love with. And again, I love performing, and I love doing music, but building companies is more of my passion. And so with all the relationships that I have with these guys who are on top in music, for me to come back to them, and showcase my product, and they support it and love it, and post it and show the world that we got something good, that's what matters. So if they're dominating on this side, let's find another way to dominate in another space. And
You guys should have
like that.
you guys should throw a race on with the bike, the Scooty bike.
I know. You know what? Steph Curry did that with his wife, and they raced the Scooty bike for pink slips for pink slips for cars or something like that. But I thought about that. We should do something like that. Keep it safe, but make it fun. That will be
Yeah.
James, would you enter?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
you're in.
I'm
Well,
a daredevil.
Okay, well, we're gonna hold. We will have to do our first New York race then, and maybe we'll have all the proceeds go towards something that's all special to us, and let's get some fun people, and we'll have a race out in New York City. So let's make this happen. Let's put that into reality this summer.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, count me in. Yeah, and again, I'll respect your time. I know you guys are busy guys, but if someone was going to enter the music industry now, what would they do? What would you advise them to do?
The music industry is tricky now because it's so fast. I mean, people are ready for the next song, 2 weeks after you release a single. And in the past, you can let a single go for 6 months or 8 months before you move on to the next one. So I just think you have to, have some young people around you that know the game, that know what's hot, so you keep some youngsters around, and you build a team around people who can make sure you get all the exposure you can get, because views and numbers is what people are looking at right now in the music game. If you got 3 million views on your video, then more people will go and look at it. So it's a numbers game. It's also good music and good style, but for me it's a numbers game. So make sure you got your numbers right.
And how do you get your numbers right? I mean, obviously a good song.
A good song, a good team, a good digital marketing team is always the best to have in any business right now, especially if you're selling music or you going D2C with any product. A digital marketing squad that can really make people see the product day to day and really drill it inside of their brains that this is the product that you should get over and over. I think those are the teams people should be looking after.
Like, what would they do? Would they contact other influencers and say, hey, do some dances to this song on TikTok, or use this in your YouTube video? Or
Yeah, I think it's, if it's influencers that you're focusing on, then you focus on the biggest influence squad. It's like if you're doing gaming, you should try to find FaZe Clan because they're the hottest gaming clan out. Or if you're going with TikTok influencers, they got a crew called Hype House who's popping, who has all the top TikTok influencers. So I think it's really just finding out the right teams in different spaces to connect with, and then also making sure you have a budget that can handle all the needs that you want.
yeah, or you just made me think with gaming. You could imagine a game inserting the Scooty bike into the game,
Like Paperboy.
I don't know. Is that a game, Paperboy? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an old. You guys don't remember Paperboy? He used to throw the paper and it's an old game.
But you can imagine that, or Grand Theft Auto. Now we got the Scooty bike.
Hopping on the Scooty bike and Grand Theft Auto's hot. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
James, I'll tell you, my little 8-year-old, first thing he said to me, he said, Dad, do you think we can get a Scooty bike into Fortnite? And I said, wouldn't that be cool?
Scooty bike on Fortnite.
So how do we make that happen? Because that would be ultra cool, but absolutely, I'd love it.
Yeah. So, okay. So Ray, putting your marketing hat on, because you're that whole influencer world. How would you get the Scooty bike on Fortnite?
Well, we got to find out who knows people at Fortnite, and then make the calls every day until we find out how we can get the green light. Make some Fortnite bikes, pull up to Fortnite office, wherever it is, fly in and wait outside until the man comes, and then pitch the idea right there on the spot. That's from the guerrilla marketing side. There's other ways to approach it, but if you just really want to go in from the ground up, then sometimes that's what it takes to really connect the dots.
Or maybe a contest on TikTok also, where everybody's got to make TikTok videos with the Scooty bike. Whoever gets the most views gets some kind of prize. Ray, you show up at their birthday party, do a concert, whatever, and do TikTok stuff with them, or whatever it is.
Hey, listen, whatever it takes, we get it done.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, look, congratulations on the bike. I've used it. My whole family's used it now. I couldn't take it away from my daughters. They grabbed it as soon as I stopped, they grabbed it away from me, and we're just cruising around. Fortunately, there's nobody on the streets of New York City because we're all supposed to be locked indoors.
Yeah.
So we were just cruising around on the Scooty bike all over the place. Probably we all caught coronavirus at the same time.
No.
And no, we didn't. It's gone from here by now, hopefully. But it's a great bike. And, thank you so much for sending it over. And look, I really appreciate talking to you guys, and let me know. I'm really interested, how I could help ever. I'm happy to help or brainstorm or anything. That's my forte. Is I invest in a lot of companies and I brainstorm for a lot That's why people get me involved.
I love that. Please come get involved, man. We would love to have you.
James, we're going to do this race, so we're going to start to look at what this needs to look like from a lineup standpoint. But we're probably going to have to soup your bike up a little bit. We'll do a little bit of James Altucher work on it. We've done a lot of custom label bikes. We'll do that for you guys. And, if anyone wants to learn more about us online, it's scootybike.ca, has all of our different colors and the combinations. And we're a publicly traded company in the United States and in Canada and over in Europe, and we trade on the OTC. So please check us out. And if you like what you see, James, let's talk, because Fortnite, that gets me excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, Matt, Ray J, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate you.
Appreciate the bike and your work on it. And I'm gonna keep brainstorming. You're gonna hear from me.
Come on, and whenever you need an analyst, let me know. I'll come on and be an analyst for the show. I got a lot of ideas too.
All right, excellent. I will do. I'm gonna take you up on that. You're gonna be getting calls from me.
Come on, let's go.
So, all right, you guys. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much. I appreciate this.
Salute. Thank you,
James. Grateful for your time. Thank you very much, James. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.